We're closing in here on the end of the first Black Ops 6 beta. The first weekend has come and it's about to be gone before we get back into the open weekend that is going to be this Friday through Sunday-ish time. Call of Duty has a tendency to extend their betas sometimes, so I leave the ish on the end there because there's a good chance they might. So we're going to talk about the things from the beta and how they're affecting the game, and hopefully some of which that might be addressed before the next one, and hopefully some other things that will definitely be addressed before the release. The first things I'm going to go over are weapon balance, server issues, progression issues, cheaters, and the potentials for Warzone's wins and losses based on all this stuff that we're seeing from the beta. And then I'll close it all off with my final kind of takeaways based on everything that's gone on. So let's start off with weapons. First off, if you've been in my streams, you know how I feel about the Jackal. And if you've checked Twitter and or X, whatever you want to call it, for any amount of time, you know how everybody else is feeling about the Jackal. And that is the Jackal is too strong. Most specifically, the first two maps that we were given, the Jackal outshines everything. Now, they did add 2 new maps to the whole rotation of things, and one of them allows the ARs to go okay, but the Jackal still is absolutely just beaming people across it. So, for the greater utmost point of everything, the Jackal is just too strong. We really need to see some adjustments to it. You can allow it to be that really fast CTK up close, but you need to make sure that its damage drops off more as it goes on, because right now, it is just better than all the ARs, even though it's an SMG. Secondly, the sniping feels off. I don't know how many of you have played as a sniper on there, but if you're using keyboard and mouse, there's some bugs where when you ADS, you can't even move your scope or move. You're just kind of stuck there. You have to change over to gradual to do that and make it work. But if you're using instant, like would be in Warzone right now, it just doesn't work. It's completely busted. And then even on controller, it kind of feels like the sights are off. Well, it's been confirmed that the sights are misaligned. If you remember my Moors video, it's a short I made, I talk about how the Moors sights and where it was firing are actually off. Well, it turns out that that is back again with the snipers in this game. And not just that, but it feels like the sway mechanic that was just recently removed inside of Urzikstan is back inside of Black Ops 6. The one where it starts waving the moment that you start ADSing, and it just never really levels out. So it's creating really inconsistent shots. It's creating a lot of issues, especially on controller on that side. And then the issues with zeroing when you first really feel awful on keyboard and mouse. So both sides are losing when it comes to sniping right now. The ARs are actually pretty decent. I would say that they're in a better spot than a lot of ARs have been at beginning COD launch cycles, just because Call of Duty just absolutely loves their SMGs. So the ARs are pretty fine right now. The AK, if you put rapid on fire on it, feels a little off, like bullets aren't registering. I don't know if that's a bug or if I'm just bad, but one or the other, the AK is kind of a little odd. But when it comes to the aims and it comes to the XM4, both of those feel really good in their headshot barrels and their rapid fires. They both feel great. I think they're in a good spot. The SWAT 556, our only marksman rifle, is extremely hit or miss. It could be the servers, it could be the weapon. I find moments where I sometimes will 3-shot, which is one burst people a few times in a row, and then all of a sudden I hit the shots at the exact same ranges where it takes 6-9 bullets to bring somebody down. Again, it could be the servers, but also it could be some very, very aggressive weapon balancing for weapon damage drop-off models. And it's something that I've been considering, but I was also thinking maybe not because of how the Jackal just absolutely beams at all ranges. But the other weapons could be suffering from a very, very sharp drop-off. We saw a lot of this happen inside of Cold War, where some of the weapons would be like 6 bullets at this range and then 9 to 10 immediately after, and so we'd have to wait until we can see the numbers if it's that aggressive or not. The LMG is an LMG. COD refuses to change how LMGs work, and even though it's basically the XM4 with Big Mag, it's okay. Pistol is extremely lethal. I do like lethal pistols. I will be the first to tell you that I think that they should be more usable in games, primarily because they are supposed to be a very effective weapon up close and a secondary swap. They're going to get more overpowered as people unlock the CHF barrel on both of the pistol choices, and you're going to get 2-tapped a lot by them. They may actually be a little too strong, but we'll see as it continues to unfold. The shotgun is useless. You can use it. I don't mean that you can't use it at all, but you are choosing to be putting yourself into absolute torture. The sprint to fire time on it is horrid, even under a really good sprint to fire build, and the damage range is really bad. When you get those one pumps off, it does feel good, but a lot of times, because of how effective the Jackal is, you are just pretty much asking to get burnt to the floor before you even get through your sprint to fire time. And then there's the perk packages. Now, I do enjoy the perk packages. I like the idea, but I think they might be a little overtuned right now. The Enforcer package basically gives you a free stem every time you kill somebody, and the blue one literally gives you wall hacks on every spawn. And I don't know if you've seen it, but I've actually been catching people when I spawn and just firing straight through the walls at them and killing them. And that's too much. That really needs to be adjusted a little bit, whether it's just pings or something, but being able to see the full character through the wall immediately on spawn is a little much. And then, of course, the specialist package style is the one where you get extra stuff towards your streaks. I think it's good, but I think it might run into some issues later on if your entire team is running that, and then the entire team that you're fighting against is just every streak going on all at once, and you just have to spend your entire time with the launcher out. So maybe these things still need to be tuned. The second thing we're going to get into is server issues, and if you've played the beta, you know what I'm talking about. Endless packet loss and just overall just lost frames and just lag. It's not like that's anything new, really. It's Call of Duty. We've been dealing with that forever. But in a beta, when you're supposed to be making first impressions, it's the one time where they really need to have their servers just turned up to the max and just allow us to just burn straight through them. But as of right now, I don't think I had a single match since the beta started that isn't full of packet loss. And that I don't think I've had 2 matches in a row where I didn't have at least some level of severe spike lag in the middle of it. And realistically, they need to update their servers. They need to update their tick rates. They need to upgrade their infrastructures. They need to change engines, build a new engine, just drop source engine. They need to stop frying a potato. I don't know what they're doing, but Call of Duty is running out of time to be able to say that it's just something that happens. At this point, they need to work on their servers more. Third thing we're getting into is progression issues. Now, it has been confirmed that the first weekend's progression was slower than intended, but I'm going to go in here with my tinfoil hat on and believe that they just didn't want people to be able to level stuff that quickly, because what will end up happening is that when it gets to week 2, where everybody who's new coming in who didn't pre-order is going to get absolutely obliterated by full build of every gun in the beta, and they kind of want you to come back for weekend 2. And so I think they intentionally made the leveling slow, maybe a little bit slower than they may have intended, but it was a lot slower than what is going to be what's considered acceptable for most betas, because players don't actually get to try anything new, especially your Jackal mains that only played the Jackal the entire time. Why would they want to go and use any other weapon to level it up if it's going to take them 4, 6, 8 hours to get it halfway through its leveling to actually make the weapons usable? Because right now, without the CHF barrel or rapid fire, most of the weapons kind of fall to the wayside. And so if you've already unlocked both on the Jackal, why would they bother doing anything else if it's going to take them that long? They're just going to keep playing the Jackal. So I think a combination of the poor weapon balance mixed with the really slow progression means we've been pushing this extreme Jackal meta where people are just getting tired of it already. Now, one of the big things that we've been talking about a lot in Call of Duty this entire last year is cheaters, because obviously I don't think any of us believe that Ricochet actually works. And for those of you who believe Ricochet actually work, you're probably far luckier than I am most of the time, as we deal with cheaters almost on a daily inside of Warzone, and we see people get banned for this stuff all the time. Well, there's been a massive uptick of players that are being caught, banned, and removed, and a lot of creators who are being banned and shadowed inside of this beta. So maybe it's working harder, maybe they're testing new things, or maybe they're just picking up some stuff that is macros or unlock tools, or buying brand new accounts to be able to play with. Whatever it is, there's been an uptick in the number of players being banned and being shadowed. So this is either a win or an absolute failure, depending on which side of that you're on. The final thing I really want to talk about here is potentials for Warzone for both of the good things coming from this and the bad things. Of course, this is coming from the COD Next thing. Honestly, I feel like Omni Movement is going to be amazing for Warzone. Now, part of that is because I just like having more and more things that I can actually do, actively do, to be able to turn the fight in my favor. And so being able to approach a fight in more ways than just one does lead into more skill gap, and more skill gap means I can show you all what more to do to be able to get better, and also when not to do it, because one of the things to note is Omni Movement is not for all the time, and so you're going to absolutely just destroy people who are just sitting there trying to dive, slide, jump 100 times in one fight in Warzone. It's gonna be hilarious. And when you combo that Omni Movement with the nerf for AA, you're looking at a lot more chances to actually be a better player rather than just having to sit there and question is that guy cheating? With the nerf to the close range AA, you're going to be able to actually tell if someone's cheating. It's going to be a little bit easier to catch. And I think overall that's going to end up being a better feeling for most players, especially because everybody will be on that level ground, and it won't be, well, my AA doesn't do that, and no one's AA does that now, so that's great. And it also balances out keyboard and mouse a little bit more, make it a little bit more useful, and people will hopefully be able to enjoy their time on keyboard and mouse just as much as people who enjoy their time on controller. When we get to Warzone stuff, the removal of backpack is a win. That means no more 93 strikes and 57 smokes. I think that's amazing. Return of the lootable perks is a massive win. We had that at Caldera, when you could end up getting perks from just out of packages and being able to pick up, Black Jacket or whatever. This is going to give players that are actually actively looting a chance to win fights that you normally wouldn't just with base perks. So that's amazing. Rebalancing by adding the plate carrier and the ammo crate carrier is awesome, because that means that marksman rifles can actually function, because you're no longer just stuck with only the maximum 40 sniper ammo. You'll be able to actually carry more, but it also won't take up slots, and you won't have to worry about slots anymore, and anything you run over and pick up is going to be stuff you're going to use, not just something you're going to juggle inside of a backpack in the middle of a fight when you really need to be doing something. So all of that, amazing. That's a really awesome way of reapproaching the game and bringing it back to more of its Warzone roots and less of this Fortnite backpack DMZ hybrid thing that they were doing. I don't know. I do know why they went there. They wanted to make DMZ work. They didn't do it. They failed, and then they quit when it was actually doing good. So that's done for a whole nother time. The return of Verdansk late in the launch window is a bit of a loss, because honestly, if they launched Black Ops 6 with Area 99 and Verdansk, you'd be seeing something that was a lot more exciting. But the return of another Resurgence map, while Verdansk just looms off in the distance, it might lose a lot of momentum, and maybe they're just hoping Verdansk brings a bunch of people back, but honestly, I don't foresee that many people coming back just for Verdansk if the base game is already kind of bored them. Your new Resurgence map looks kind of boring. That's just me. I already don't like Nuketown as a map, and so to think of a gigantic Nuketown to me just feels awful. Maybe it's the way they're selling it. Maybe it's just the point of view from the streams. Maybe it's because I haven't got a hold of it, but as of right now, Area 99 just doesn't interest me. You can obviously let me know if you look forward to it, but for me, it's if Verdansk comes out with all of the Modern Warfare 3 quality of life updates, it could be a return to form, a bit of a return to how Warzone used to feel, removing all the complexities of what was just introduced in Warzone 2.0 and going back into the simplicity of just gunfights inside of Verdansk may be enough to bring people a little bit back into that happy feel on Warzone and not so much of the depressy feel from Warzone 2.0. But I think that if they really want to succeed the most, they need to add back in Al Mazrah and preferably Caldera with that as well, so that we have a big hodgepodge of maps to pick from Verdansk and Al Maz and Kazakhstan and Caldera. Put it on a rotation. Don't remove the player-based things. Don't remove solos, duos, trios, squads. Literally put all of them on rotation so that you can play any of those, but just depending on which squad you're playing with. Because I think that more gameplay options is going to overall make people a lot happier, rather than continuing to delete years of work inside of these games. The game's already massive. What else do we have to lose, right? So basically, when it comes down to all this, my final thoughts on the way this worked out is the beta. It could have been amazing if COD could figure out how to make working servers, and the majority of beta has been a mess for packet loss, unbalanced weapons, and really, really tight maps. And I'm not a big fan of the maps, but they've been okay. But they could have probably picked a more bigger variety for what they were doing. But right now, 3 of the 4 maps are absolutely buttholes to elbows. It's really tight. Omni movement is touted as the next big thing for Call of Duty, and if they could figure out how to fix their servers, they are right. The ability to approach these fights in a bunch of different areas, they even convinced me, somebody who was a massive skeptic on Omni movement before the launch, that it is probably going to be a really fun thing to work with. And one of the big things, you don't have to be a movement demon to use all the Omni movement stuff. The Omni movement stuff is actually better most of the time if you don't use it all the time, because it allows you to throw enemies off, and I think that even the more casual player base is going to find a lot of fun to be used with the Omni movement stuff. And of course, again, with the massive nerf to the close quarters AA, I'm foreseeing a lot more people actually feeling comfortable about winning those fights, and a whole lot less about people complaining about aim assist, especially in these close in quarters engagements. And of course, we'll have to see how all that transfers over into Warzone as well. I'd love to see how you all are feeling after the Black Ops 6 beta if you played it, and if not, are you looking forward to the open beta this coming weekend? I am very interested in seeing how you all adapt to the way that this game plays, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, peace.